Now, there was a storm system the weekend before Thanksgiving several years ago. We're talking 33 years ago this week in our Weather Rewind segment. It brought a lot of snow to the area, and it caused some pretty significant issues across many areas of eastern Iowa, and not just eastern Iowa, but more of the Midwest too. And that's your Weather Rewind for tonight. November 24th, 1991 is when that snow began to wind down. It was a pretty strong early season storm. We don't often see very heavy snow here just quite yet this time of year, but it brought many inches of snow. And because of the timing and the extent of the heaviness of that snow, actually took a little while for snow to be cleared off of area roadways across eastern Iowa, and that was a bit of an issue with this system. Now, in terms of snowfall amounts, we saw areas of a trace to 3 inches in the white that extended across the Great Lakes. There were some heavier bands here east of Lake Michigan and lake effect areas, but here in central northeast Iowa, a broad area of at least 5 inches of snow, and many areas saw totals higher than that. Heaviest totals up into Wisconsin as the system strengthened as it moved off to the northeast. Now, of course, this did cause some maybe slightly panicky headlines in our Cedar Rapids Gazette look back. This is from November 26th. So a couple of days after the snow, roads may stay like this all winter. The good news is that did not pan out to be true. In fact, a good chunk of the snow melted within just about a week and saw some bare ground in time for Thanksgiving later that week, although many areas, especially northeast Iowa where the heaviest snow fell, it held on a little bit longer. But the cold immediately after the system did make for that snow a little bit tricky to clear. It did start early as November 22nd, fell through the 24th in many areas. Now, ahead of the system, temperatures were actually quite warm. We're talking readings in the 50s for the few days before it arrived. And so that set the stage for those warm ground temperatures and warm road temperatures too. When that initial burst of snow starts to fall, sometimes you get that melting initially and then it freezes as cold air comes in. I'm going to guess that was probably a contributing factor here as that snow took place. The heaviest snow took place on Saturday night, and so that limited the number of plows that were out. Crews and county and city levels were taken off the roads or just weren't put out in full force until during the day on Sunday. And it did take a little while for some of those rural roads to get cleared off completely, at least in terms of having 2 solid lanes of traffic to travel on. Now, in eastern Iowa, snowfall totals again did vary. Lansing up in far northeast Iowa, 15.2 inches. New Hampton had 13 and Waukon about 11. Waterloo fell just short of there. Old Mine just short of 10 inches at 9.5. Cedar Rapids got 8.1, but notice that Dubuque number, about 1.3 inches. And so things varied quite a bit from place to place. Now, the headline coming out of the system was about holiday travel. We were concerned, of course, as situations dictate often when it's the holidays. You do, of course, want to see good travel conditions, and luckily things did play out pretty well. There were a couple of storm systems as the weather pattern stayed active, but overall it wasn't that bad heading to the Thanksgiving holiday that year.